All right, Ambush, and today we are joined by a Juno Award-nominated country singer, a songwriter who is riding the success of a 2021 single entitled Sometimes I Drink, and now in 2022, she sang Wouldn't It Be Fun? Of course, that is the name of her latest single. It released at the beginning here of April 2022, and we are going to be diving all into this track with my guest today, Desiree Dorion. How's it going today, Desiree?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, I am very excited. I am loving this new song and loving the music video for it too, and I'm very excited to dive into things. So how about we say, let's get started. Sound good to you?
Sounds good.
Perfect. Let's dive feet first. Of course, like I said, the new track, Wouldn't That Be Fun? How exactly did this song start for you? When did it begin?
Yeah, so Dave Wasyliw, of course, is one half of the Juno and CCMA award-winning group Doc Walker. And a lot of people know him as, as his role in that group. But I had been a fan of him for a long time, largely because of his songwriting. And he'd been somebody that had been on my radar that I wanted to write with for some time now. And so back in 2019, we were at an after party for the Manitoba Country Music Awards. And we may have made one too many trips to the hospitality bar, not going to lie. And because of that, I worked up the nerve to actually ask him if he would be willing to do a co-write with me. And so anyway, he didn't even hesitate. Because I was so nervous. I thought, he's not going to write with me. He's a much more advanced writer and, had a lot more success than I had. And so, yeah, but he didn't even hesitate. And he's like, absolutely, let's do it. And so we emailed back and forth a little bit following that event, and our schedules just didn't line up. Like, we were both going in different directions and we couldn't make it happen. And finally, in the summer of 2021, he actually reached out to me on Facebook and said, let's prove to everybody that we follow through with our drunk talk and we can get this song written. And so I guess about the end of July, maybe early August, we got together, and I thought, that this was just going to be a co-write for a future project that I might release at some point. But it organically evolved into a duet. And that was even, a funny conversation, because once we realized that we were writing a duet, my next question was, okay, Dave, who's going to sing this song with me? And I still didn't have the nerve to ask him if he would be willing to do it. So then he actually ended up demoing the song, and he sent me the demo. And after I heard his voice on it, I was like, okay, Dave, I need you to sing this with me. So it started off as a co-write and just organically evolved into this duet project that I'm really thrilled that he was able to join me for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just sort of how that all comes together, where just that one chance meeting where, he said yes. And then okay, it doesn't happen. Don't get too excited about it. Okay, fine. And then he messages you out of the blue to be like, let's get this done. Let's go.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And, when I was in and out of this, I live in Dauphin, which is about 3.5 hours north of Winnipeg. But I'm in Winnipeg almost on a weekly basis for something or other. And it just so happened that the week before he messaged me on Facebook, I was going to be in Winnipeg the following week. So I said, well, can we carve out a few hours to get together next week? And he happened to be available. And so it's just, the timing was right. And I sent him a bunch of my ideas that I had before, because of course that's the expectation when you're working with a more advanced writer, is to not come and expect to pick their brain and steal all their good ideas. So this was one of the ideas that I'd sent him, and it just evolved into this fun, flirtatious, romantic song.
Absolutely. And I love how you say there too, where it's like you weren't sure, but he went in and he put in the work himself, and then it sounds good. So why don't you just go on the track, right?
Your voice sounds pretty good on this, Dave. Have you done this before?
maybe a little bit of experience. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. So of course you guys also worked on a music video together. So was it a little bit easier to ask him to film the music video with you then?
Oh yeah, because by that time, when after I wrote the song or after we co-wrote the song, I should say, and then he demoed it. When I heard the demo, I was like, oh man, I think I need to release this song, because I'd had another song planned as a release. And I just thought, I think that this is going to be the stronger song to follow up Sometimes I Drink with. And so I bumped my plans. I bumped my release plans back, and I said, and then I was able to be frank with Dave, and we had a real good conversation about, the direction that I wanted this song to go if I were to release it as a single, and what the marketing and branding and all of that stuff might look like. And it's funny because you go into working relationships or any relationship, but in this instance, it was, our working relationship. And I went in, I think, with a bit of preconceived notions as to, what kind of person he might be, given that, all of the success that they've had as a group. And I can say, with 100%, with 1,000% certainty, that he is the most humble and gracious person. And he was just like, yeah, whatever you think. I trust your cheese factor. I trust that you're not gonna, make me do something ridiculous, and whatever you think is good with me. And so that was, once we started having those conversations, my brain started turning to okay, how am I going to market this song? What's it going to look like? What's the package going to look like? And, Dave and I are in no way, shape, or form romantically connected. We're both happily married in our own respective relationships. And so I didn't want the branding to take on, because this is a flirtatious song, right? And it's romantic and it's fun, and it's, the anticipation of falling in love with somebody. And so I knew that it would be really weird and bizarre for us to play those roles. So then the next logical thing in my mind was to really just emphasize and play up the fun factor of the song. And so that's the direction that I wanted to take. And initially, when we were thinking about a video, I was thinking of in a grocery store, how you might meet somebody in a grocery store and pull stuff off the shelves. And I thought, I don't know, that's going to be a lot more complicated from a film point of view. So then we ended up in the laundromat.
And you ended up with a amazing laundromat. The layout of it worked out great for you guys. My goodness.
Oh my gosh. It was so hard to find a good laundromat. I must have sent out 20 emails and made 20 phone calls to follow up. Is it okay? Can I use your space? Can I use your space? Can I use your space? And I don't know if just because of COVID or what, but I couldn't secure a place. And then finally I came across the Wasyliw in Winnipeg, and I phoned the fellow's name who owns it. His name is Elder. And I just, told him who I was. And I said, I'm looking to secure a location to shoot a music video. And he actually said that they had done photo shoots in their laundromat previously. And so he didn't even hesitate. He's like, absolutely, come in, take over the space, do what you need to do, as long as you don't paint me in a negative picture. And I said, no, of course not. And so we invaded his space for 3 hours. We shot that video in 3 hours, which is kind of a Christmas miracle.
Oh my goodness. That is very much a Christmas miracle. That is crazy amount of time to be able to get that done. And I love how you can tell how much fun you guys are having inside of it too. Because you mentioned earlier, you weren't really sure how Dave would handle it at first, but then just how humble he is. Because that scene where you guys are diving down and grabbing the laundry, and you can see one spot he picks up, and you can see him trying to fight a smile, but he's just having so much fun with it that is no, he can't hide it.
Yeah. It was, what, because we had such a short window to film, we had done some pre-work, and Landon Lake directed that video, and we'd done a pretty substantive amount of planning before going in, because we knew we only had 3 hours, and there was no time to waste. There was no time to go in, being shy or holding back in any way, shape, or form. And so when we got there, it was just like, okay, it's go time. Like, let's get this done. And just some of the ideas, like brainstorming, knowing that, like, okay, I'm going to push Dave in a laundry cart, and just like the anticipation and knowing that these kinds of goofy things are going to happen. And so I think just the pre-work helped also to like alleviate some of the shyness. Cause I think, like, I am naturally shy. And I think Dave, I could probably say that he's probably a bit shy as well. But there was no time for that. It was just like, okay, it's go time. Camera's on. Let's go.
Let's go. And it turned out with a fantastic music video. And one thing that you mentioned earlier was the thought of course, we're going to dive into the business of the music industry a little here. And you mentioned the thought of sort of releasing this single after the success of Sometimes I Drink, because you thought it would do better. And we have seen some pretty solid reception to this new song, not just the music video, but also on streaming platforms and otherwise. So what is it like to have this success once again, to sort of continue to see just that, some numbers, some feedback?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal, if I'm being honest. Like, I think we're over like 25,000 streams right now on the video, and I am just cracking 10,000 streams on Spotify, which is crazy to me. Like, I don't have a big team of people. I work with, a very, very small team. I don't have a manager. So everything is like, I have to be really methodical about how, rolling out a release, and then also making sure that I'm not messing anything up. Like, for instance, for the first 5 days that the video was released on the YouTube platform, I turned off comments. And, and so like, I'm sitting at home and I'm like, how is nobody commenting on this video? I don't get it. And then I realized on the back end, I'm so ridiculous. How did I forget to do this? So then I had to go back 5 days later and make sure that I got it right. And so, yeah, it's, there's a lot to think about.
Absolutely. The business of the music business is, there is a lot that goes into it. And like you mentioned, especially the struggles of an independent artist. You might have a small team, but at the head of everything, keeping it all on track, is Desiree Dorion.
Yeah. It is a lot to manage. And I try, I think that all independent artists have very limited resources, right? And so, when I was looking at bumping my old release back, I really had to try and think that through objectively, because the song that I bumped, I really, really love that song, and I will release it at some point, but I just knew that it wasn't the follow-up song to Sometimes I Drink. I knew that I had to take a different direction. And so I had to really try and like take my heart out of it, and, take my artist hat off and like think it through logically about, and objectively as to what might help to continue the trajectory of my career.
Absolutely, because that's exactly it. You're trying to make a career out of it. You're trying to continue that success. And of course, with that, you're continuing on into the future. So with some of that managing, with some of that continuing, what exactly does the future potentially hold here for us from Desiree Dorion?
Yeah, so I've got a follow-up single already in the bag. So that's going to come out in September, in early fall. And then we're looking at an album release next year, potentially. So people can stay tuned for that. I've got some tour plans this summer, playing Dauphin's Country Fest this summer as well, which I'm really excited about. And heading west on tour. So yeah, lots of plates lots of balls being juggled.
Hey, lots of balls being juggled. But if you want to support Desiree Dorion, the best way to do it is to go stream this new single, share it, or to follow her on your favorite social media platform so you can stay up to date on those upcoming tour dates. You can catch yourself at a Desiree Dorion show, rocking out to Sometimes I Drink, partying, so wouldn't that be fun, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, and what is the best place to go ahead and follow Desiree Dorion?
I'm on all platforms now. I'm even on the TikTok. Yeah, but I'm on Facebook at Des Dorion. I'm on TikTok at the Desiree Dorion, Instagram Desiree Dorion, Twitter Desiree Dorion, and then my website, of course, is DesireeDorion.com.
All right, perfect. Well, Desiree, I thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to dive behind this incredible new single, Wouldn't That Be Fun, with us here on the Desert Tiger podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.